Hello, dear viewers. You are on the Alien Kin channel. It happens like this. You carry the whole family on yourself, solve problems and earn money, and in return, you only hear reproaches and demands to know your place. Today's story is about how a stone wall suddenly turns into a prison bar and what happens when loved ones start mistaking kindness for weakness. Idol. That's what Inga called her in her head. Not mother-in-law, not Isolda Vitalyevna, but a woman, a monument to herself, occupying half the sofa and 80% of the oxygen in the room. The morning didn't start with coffee. The morning began with the sound of a zipper on a cheap windbreaker and the smell of stale alcohol, which Dima was trying to mask with mint gum. Inga stood in the hallway. She was wearing a beige trench coat, a laptop bag in her hand, and a plan for a meeting with the board of directors in her head. She had 3 minutes until she had to leave. The timing was tight. If she didn't get into the taxi now, the logistics for the entire day would go to hell. Dima, move aside. Inga's voice was calm, a professional habit. When a crane falls on a construction site, shouting is useless. You need to give commands. Dima didn't move. He leaned his hand against the door frame, blocking the exit. His face, usually soft and slightly puffy, now expressed the determination of a kamikaze pilot who forgot to put on a parachute but really wants to jump. "You're not going anywhere," he declared. Inga blinked. The situation was so absurd that her brain refused to process it immediately. "I have a meeting, a quarterly report. Are you out of your mind?" Just then, the idol entered the fray. She was sitting in the living room, visible in the doorway, drinking tea from Inga's favorite mug, fine porcelain that couldn't be washed in the dishwasher. The idol was washing it with laundry soap. "Democha is right," she cooed, extending her pinky finger. "Enough of this. The family is falling apart." "The family is falling apart because someone can't find a job for 3 months, Inga countered, trying to squeeze under her husband's arm. Dima pushed her back, not hard, but noticeably. Inga stumbled, stepping on the rug with her heel. "I said no." Dima took a deep breath, as if preparing to dive into an ice hole, and continued, "My mother doesn't like your job, even with a salary of 400,000. You're staying home today and will cook borscht, like a normal woman." Silence. A ringing, dense silence in which one could hear the refrigerator humming in the kitchen and the idol slurping her tea. "Repeat that," Inga asked quietly. "You heard me? I'm tired of being an appendage to your card. My mother says a woman should create coziness, not run around construction sites. Are you becoming a man, Inga? You've become tough, heartless." The idol in the room nodded joyfully, like a Chinese bobblehead on a dashboard. "Exactly, Democha," she shouted. "Borscht is sacred, it's yin energy. And money, the husband should provide the money. And if the wife has more, it's a castration of energy." Inga looked at her watch. It was 8:45. The meeting was at 9:30. The drive was 40 minutes. She looked at her husband. In his eyes, she read a mixture of fear and bravado. He was expecting a scandal. He expected her to start asserting her rights, shouting, "This is my apartment!" to rub his nose in the mortgage payments that she had fully paid off 2 years ago. He was prepared, but Inga was a strategist. The head of the Department of Technical Control, does not yell. He identifies defects and eliminates them. Right now, before her was a critical structural defect labeled marriage. Beyond repair, only demolition. "All right," Inga said. Dima was taken aback. His hand trembled traitorously. "What did I say? All right, you're right. Family is more important." She slowly took off her trench coat and hung it on the hanger. She carefully placed her bag down. Borscht. So be it, borscht. The idol in the room choked with surprise, but immediately broke into a triumphant smile. She had broken her, the rich one, the careerist, this snob who dared to buy groceries that weren't on sale. "That's a good girl," the mother-in-law exclaimed. "I bought the meat yesterday, with the bone." Inga obediently went to the kitchen. She crossed the threshold of her perfectly equipped domain. Everything here was functional. Japanese steel knives, induction hob, stone countertop. This was her command center. She took out her phone. The first message to the Deputy Director of Operations. "Hold the meeting yourself. I'm working remotely. Prepare the documents for the severe object. Send them by courier for signature immediately. Code red." The deputy was a smart guy. He didn't ask unnecessary questions. Inga opened the freezer, took out a piece of beef, and threw it into the sink with such a clang that the hallway trembled. She turned on the water. "Inga!" Dima shouted from the hallway. "Don't go crazy in there. You have to cook with soul." She smirked. With soul. Oh, the soul was about to unfurl. Inga took out beets, carrots, onions. The knife felt familiar in her hand. Shredding. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. The blade sliced through the orange flesh of the carrot. 3 years. 3 years she had been managing this project. Dima was a promising architect when they met, but his prospects shattered against deer and tanks. He lay on the couch, searching for himself, while she trudged through construction pits in rubber boots, checking rebar. He called her the Iron Lady, first with pride, then with envy, and now the apotheosis. Her mother from Sizran came to visit for a week. The week stretched into the 2nd month. The idol took over the guest room, rearranged the flowers, started criticizing the food, and poisoning Dima's mind. Inga dialed a number. The line rang for a long time. Finally, it was picked up. It was noisy there, with the sound of a saw and male voices. "Dad?" Inga asked, watching the water boil in the pot. "Yes, they're here, both of them." The voice on the other end was hoarse but infinitely familiar. "Got it? Should I bring tools?" "No, bring the blue folder and the stronger guys." "Understood. We'll be there in 40 minutes. I'm coming from the site right now." Inga hung up. "Who are you talking to?" Dima peeked into the kitchen. He didn't look as combative anymore. The adrenaline had subsided, leaving behind anxiety. His wife was acting too quietly. With Dad. Inga smiled. The smile was terrifying only with her lips. Her eyes remained cold as the ice on the neva. "Just clarifying the recipe. His borscht always turns out better." Dima relaxed. "Ah, yes, our father-in-law is a culinary expert. All right, go ahead and cook. My mother and I will watch a fashion show for now. They have segments about people like you, by the way, who get makeovers." He left. Inga turned on the extractor fan to full power. The motor's hum cut her off from the sounds of the apartment. She cooked methodically, like a robot, sautéing. The beets needed to be simmered with a drop of vinegar to preserve their color. There was irony in this. She actually knew how to cook and enjoyed it, but only when she wanted to. Coercion killed the magic. This wasn't food, it was an expulsion potion. She sliced the cabbage thinly, transparently. She remembered how a month ago the idol accidentally broke her perfume bottle worth 20,000. Oh, in Gochka they smelled so strong. I thought it was an air freshener. I wanted to spray it, but it slipped. She remembered how Dima borrowed her credit card to buy a new monitor because the old one was bad for his eyes, and he forgot to return it. The broth was simmering. The clock was ticking. 9:20. The deputy sent a message. "Chief Bezrikov is making trouble, demanding a revised estimate. I sent him to the regulations. All clear." Inga typed quickly. Good job. Push on the deadlines. If he makes a fuss, tell him I'll come tomorrow and conduct a personal inspection of the hidden work." The idol floated into the kitchen. "It smells of vinegar," she grimaced. "You should have used lemon. Lemon is a natural product." Inga didn't turn around. She stirred the concoction with a large spoon. "Isolda Vitalyevna," she said softly, "have you packed your things?" "What?" The mother-in-law froze with a cookie in her hand. "Packed what? We were planning to stay here, and then Damacha will get his vacation, maybe to Turkey." "No, not to Turkey." Inga tasted the broth. A little more salt. "You have packed the things you've scattered around my living room, knitting, magazines, those endless pills of yours. How dare you speak to me like that?" The idol's voice squeaked. "Dima, she's being rude." Dima ran in instantly, like a trained poodle. "Inga, are you starting again? We agreed. You're a woman, you." A knock at the door. Sharp, demanding, not the polite doorbell chime, but a pressing and holding of the button. "Who's here?" Dima tensed. "Are you expecting someone?" "I am." Inga turned off the stove. The borscht was ready, perfectly ruby, thick, a masterpiece. "I'm expecting justice, Dima. Open it." "Open it yourself. Are you closer?" he grumbled, but seeing her gaze, he went into the hallway. Inga wiped her hands on a towel, took off her apron, and straightened her blouse. "The show begins." Voices echoed from the hallway. "Who are you?" "To the daughter. And you move aside before I squash you with the door." Viktor Anatolyevich, the father, entered the kitchen. He wasn't an oligarch, he was a foreman of the old school, a man who could make concrete set faster with a glance. Broad shoulders, a gray hedgehog of hair, hands like shovels. Behind him loomed two guys in work overalls with the inscription, "Stroy Montage," strong lads with faces not disfigured by excessive intelligence, but full of obedience. "Dad?" Dima looked as if he had seen a ghost. "Viktor Anatolyevich. Hello. We're making borscht here." The father walked past Dima as if he were a bedside table. He approached Inga and kissed her on the crown of her head. "Hello, daughter. Are they mistreating you?" "They're educating me, Dad. They say she earns a lot, but a woman should know her place." Viktor Anatolyevich slowly turned to his son-in-law. His gaze was heavy, like a foundation block. "Educating, you say? Well, well." Isolda Vitalyevna, sensing trouble, decided to attack. "And you, matchmaker, don't interfere. This is an internal family matter. We want good for the young couple. Inga has completely lost her way. She doesn't respect her husband at all." Viktor Anatolyevich took a blue folder from his inner jacket pocket and threw it on the kitchen table. Inga nodded. This was their little insurance policy. The apartment was bought with her money, but legally registered to her father. Dima knew this, but at the time, he didn't object because Inga had promised that later, her father would re-register the apartment to both of them. So, Viktor Anatolyevich opened the folder. "Since the apartment is mine, I've decided to undertake major renovations, demolishing partitions, replacing the floor. Right now." "Now?" Dima squeaked. "But we live here." "You are visiting here?" the father corrected. "And you've overstayed your welcome," he said, nodding to the workers. "Start with the living room. The sofa is for the dump. It's old. The TV. Well, take the TV out carefully. It might be useful." "Wait!" the idol shrieked. "My things are there, my robe." "You have 10 minutes to pack, citizen," one of the workers said in a deep voice. "Then we'll remove the windows and it'll be drafty." Dima rushed to his wife. "Inga, tell them, this is outrageous. Did you set your father on us? We're family." Inga stood, leaning her hip against the countertop. She felt an incredible lightness, as if a backpack full of bricks had been lifted from her shoulders. Dima, family is when people support each other, not when one parasites on another and hides behind their mother. You said you didn't like my salary, fine. Now it doesn't concern you. A crash came from the living room. It sounded like the guys had started dismantling the wardrobe without opening the doors. "Call the police!" Isolda Vitalyevna screamed. "Call them," Viktor Anatolievich calmly said, pulling out an extract from the Unified State Register of Real Estate. "Owner, only Inga is registered here. And who are you, citizens? Unauthorized persons obstructing renovation work." Dima looked at Inga. His world was crumbling in his eyes, the world where he was the convenient domestic king who was brought food. "But you loved me." "I did," she replied simply, that Dima who drew bridge designs and dreamed of building skyscrapers. "But the one who blocks my door and demands borscht while I earn for your comfort? I don't know him and don't want to know him. The borscht, by the way, is ready," she added. "Sit down, Dad. Let's have lunch, and I can pour you some to take with you in a jar." The next 20 minutes were chaos. The idol flitted around the apartment, stuffing her sweaters into checkered bags, cursing the cursed bourgeoisie as she went. Dima tried to pack his computer. "The monitor is mine," he yelled. "Show me the receipt," said the worker, who had already disconnected the system unit from the power. "No receipt, therefore. No." Inga didn't interfere. She sat in the kitchen and drank coffee her father had made for her. "Forgive me for being so harsh," Viktor said, watching the commotion in the hallway. "But otherwise these bedbugs don't understand you have to use dust." "Thank you, Dad." She took his hand. His hand was rough and warm. "It's my own fault. I procrastinated, thinking it would resolve itself." "Rudeness doesn't resolve itself, daughter. It crystallizes." A door slammed in the hallway. Screams from the idol could be heard on the landing. "I'll tell everyone. I'll write on social media." And Dima's pathetic mumbling. It became quiet in the apartment. The workers, who actually had no intention of smashing anything, it was a one-man show, stood and waited for orders in the living room. "Viktor Anatolievich, are we really removing the windows?" the senior asked. "Dismissed, Sergei. Let the windows stay, but change the locks right now. Install the Gordian cylinder." Inga went to the pot, removed the lid. The aroma was divine. She took a ladle, poured 2 bowls, sliced black bread, and took lard from the freezer. Green onions. "Sit down, Dad, work," the father said with a sly squint. "Didn't you say you had a meeting? 400,000 is going to waste." Inga smirked. Her phone beeped. A message from the courier arrived. "Documents picked up, on the way to the office." "Work isn't going anywhere. I'm a valuable specialist. They'll wait, but the borscht shouldn't get cold." She sat down at the table. For the first time in 6 months, her own apartment felt spacious. The air had become clean. Even breathing felt easier, as if the extractor fan had sucked out not only cooking odors, but also the sticky web of someone else's egoism. She scooped a spoonful of bright red hot soup. Delicious. After all, Dima was right about one thing. Borscht is indeed sacred, especially when you eat it in silence, knowing that no one will tell you any more that you are the wrong kind of woman. "I am the right kind of woman," Inga said aloud, biting into a green onion. "Better," her father confirmed, spreading mustard on his bread. "You just need a proper man, not this decorative one." Inga nodded. But that would be later. For now, locks and silence, and 400,000 which she could now spend only on herself. A damn pleasant feeling. And so, the finale. Justice has triumphed, and everyone received what they deserved. Some peace and self-respect, and others a harsh life lesson. If you have had similar stories about having to defend your personal boundaries against relatives, be sure to share them in the comments. Take care of yourselves and value your work. All the best. M.